Hi, and welcome to Next Chapter Women, the New Midlife, a real and raw podcast for everyone who's affected by menopause. I'm your host and guide, Joelle Castex. Come with me as we dish on the skinny on menopause, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual realities that we face every day in life, every day at home, and every day on the job. Let's go. If you have ever wanted to write and publish a book, listen to me carefully. The publishing industry has never provided more opportunities for anyone to write and publish a book. Seriously. Now, if you ask the big publishers, they'll sing a different tune. But I'm not talking about the big five publishers. I'm talking about innovators who are bringing together powerful voices to make a real change in people's lives. And today's guest is one of those people. Laura DeFranco is the CEO of Brave Healer Productions. They specialize in publishing and business strategy for holistic health and wellness professionals. She's a publishing superstar. She's authored 14 books. Her company has published more than 80 best-selling Amazon books, and she's created a global community of more than 2,000 authors who are waking up the world to what's possible. Her publishing services, collaborative book projects, writing workshops and retreats, business strategy sessions, and online writing circle are just some of the ways she helps anyone maximize their professional impact. And she's more. She did all of this in midlife. She spent 30 years in holistic physical therapy before she took the leap into internet-based collaborative publishing. She not only reinvented her career, but she decided to reinvent an industry. Now, full disclosure, I've collaborated on 2 books in the Brave Healer library, and those 2 projects were the most positive writing and publishing experiences I've had, and I've had a lot of publishing experience. These were books that people want and need, and they sell. Laura, thank you so much for joining me today on Next Chapter Women.
Okay, that could have been the best intro I've ever received from somebody who totally gets it. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So tell me, explain to the community here, what is Brave Healer Productions? What do you do? Where did it come from? Just give us the whole thing.
Well, first of all, thanks for reminding me I did that in midlife. Thank you for the reminder, because when I heard you read that line, I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I? And I also loved that your understanding that I'm trying to redefine publishing a little bit, and what the bigger purpose is to really help our readers live extraordinary lives. And so back in, people are going to have their stories, but March 20th of 2020, I had done a lot of publishing for myself. I had been teaching some classes and doing some things. I had been in at least 4 book collaborations, but I woke up dreaming this dream. And it was like, oh gosh, the world just lost our healers, our hands-on people, COVID, blah, blah. And you got to give them tools that they can practice at home. So I walked to the laptop, wrote an invitation in a course I was teaching, a little Facebook group. I said, who wants to write a chapter? We have to get self-healing tools into people's hands out there so they can do it without having to hire us right now, because they can't. And in 48 hours, 24 people said, yeah, I'm going to help you do that. And 5 weeks later, it was a #1 best-selling book on Amazon. And I was like, whoa. And something bigger than me has been running this show ever since. It's been exciting.
So take me back to, so you have these writers. I mean, how did you have the wherewithal and the know-how to get it to shoot up on the Amazon best-selling charts? Was it just a happy accident, or did you have a system, or?
No, thank you. It was, I had been there a time or two. I had published already several books. I had really great book coaches on my own. I had courses that I took. I was learning for myself mainly. And so I had a great class about book launching, and I took notes during that class. And so when this idea came through, I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going to do this. But I had already done it for a couple of my own solo books. So first of all, I knew it worked. And then I knew with a collaboration, a team of people who were all passionate, we could work that times 10, because friends, family, colleagues of 20 people, 25 people in that book are a lot more sometimes than you feel like you can do on your own. And while I had made that work on my own, man, it's more fun to to do it as a team, right? And really get together and talk about it and reach out to people together and build those book launch teams together. Way, way, way more fun. So yeah, I knew what to do. I just didn't realize it was going to be so great and so much fun. And I honestly thought it was going to be a one-off. I'm like, oh, that was exciting. And about a week later, a week after that launch, I had a friend, a good friend, email me, and she said, well, when are you going to do the next one? And I said, well, now, I guess, since you're asking, right? And you said it. Here we are, 80. We're celebrating title number 83 this week.
That's amazing. So you publish approximately what you said, 2 books a month?
About,
Or all right,
yeah.
so where do you so explain to the community who has never seen a Brave Healer production book, what is different about your books than the average book that they would see on Amazon or wherever they get their books?
Well, you can write a book by yourself, and most people write a book by themselves and self-publish it on Amazon, or they have a hybrid publisher or an indie publisher like me help them and they get it out there. Our expert collaborations had a different mission. And you'll all see multiple collaborative books out there as well. A lot of people like to call these anthologies, but I don't publish anthologies. I publish expert collaborations. These are groups of experts who are experts in their health, wellness, or business field coming together to say, yes, I serve that ideal client with that problem, and I want to be part of this ultimate toolkit that they have in their hands, right? So a leader comes and steps up in my world and says, we need to write about this topic, right? And one example would be the grief experience led by Kelly Doherty. And that was her expertise, but she didn't want to do it by herself. She knew there were a lot of unique voices and a lot of unique tools on the topic. So our books are doing that with an expert team. And those books, they are a little bit different. We're offering practical strategy. We're offering real vulnerable stories that go beyond, I think, in terms of Brave. Shout out to any of you who have written your real story for one of our books. You are a badass. You took on my challenge, you got over that fear inside of you, and you put it out there for the world to read. This is no small potatoes thing for people. So the other way these stand out is I get that writing, publishing, launching, and then sharing your stuff is a healing journey. And if a publisher does not get that and can't hold a safe, sacred space for that experience, too bad. Right. And so I am the one that does that. And I think we've established ourselves really as the best collaborative book project on the planet. So I'm super excited to be able to say that out loud with you today.
Well, when I think back on the projects I worked on, what I liked was that because I've done all the different kinds of publishing. I've been a freelance writer in various newspapers and online mediums. I did a book through hybrid publishing. I've self-published by myself. I've done a Brave Healer production book, and I've never broken into mainstream publishing, but it's the whole publishing process can be really, really intimidating, especially the self-publishing on Amazon. Because I also did a similar course when I published my book, The Power of Responsibility. I used a process to get it up on the list in Amazon, and it does really, really well. Still like 6, 7 years later. Um, but it was a lot of work to do it by myself. It was a lot of work because I not only had to write the book, but I had to approve all the designs and do all the editing and everything else and come up with all the materials. And then when it came time to publish, I'm just the power of one. And it was overwhelming. And I don't think it's a project I would be willing to do again because it was just like so big. And it's just I have other things I have to do, like eat and sleep. But with Brave Healer, it was so great because it was just like, sure, I sent it to my list of 7,000 people, but there were 20 some other authors who sent it to their list of whatever. And I've had people who I've never met and never encountered say, "Oh, what do I name? Oh yeah, you're in that book." And what you provide too is for a lot of writers, especially in the healing, self-help, motivational genre, it's kind of hard to get started. And I found it, I loved, you just gave people a toolkit. This is how you write a chapter. This is what people want to read. This is what they need. Here's your story. What's the tool? And it was just like, it was so easy. It was plug and play. And I'm sure a lot of your authors respond really well to that.
We try to make all of that easy and fun. I mean, gosh, life is short. So if you're not having fun, you need to assess, right? And I hear you on the overwhelm piece when you do it all yourself. I'm an author of 14 of my own solo books. I know how that goes. I self-published with Balboa Press in the beginning. I had a hybrid publisher who went under, so I had to take my book back and do it again. It's so much work. I had an agent for a year and went the traditional publishing route and got some bites, but then it never went anywhere. Meanwhile, my beautiful work was sitting for a year and a half. And this is where I want to tell all of you, you could be changing lives and selling books, but you could be changing lives now. Right. And so everybody has this traditional publishing dream, yet you could probably be building your empire and helping so many people if you'd get that book out there now. you know and so I keep coming back to that because it can take so long and it can have so much frustration associated with it. So I wanted this to feel like you want your people to feel. I wanted it to be easy. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to feel inspiring. I wanted you to feel brave and excited about what you were doing. And there's a difference, right? I'm giving my own self goosebumps right now because I'm able to pull the energy up when I want to. And that's what I want to say to authors, writers. You're getting ready to publish, you're thinking about it. How do you want those people to feel? If you're feeling tired, frustrated, a little fearful, this isn't going well, it's too much. Oh my gosh, guess what they're going to feel? Right. So let's figure this out. Let's do this better because that's a big thing we're doing. Books are a legacy business. Your chapters, your books, your work, every day of it is your legacy. You're leaving it right now. So this is a big deal, you know?
I often listen to motivational podcasts and stuff, and they always say, surround yourself by people who push you to a higher level. And what you did right now was do that. You just pushed every listener to a higher level. It's like you can do and be so much more. Just, allow yourself to have that positivity and get your word out there. And so tell me a little more about what you do besides publishing, because you have your writer's circle and writer's retreats. Tell me a little more about that.
So one of the missions was to be, from my own experience, you publish this beautiful book and then you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, now what? And you're crashing from the high of the launch a little bit you need support. So I looked at that and I looked at my own experiences and I figured out what was missing from some of those experiences. So the company is here to support the thriving business of the author well beyond your book launch. So you come back into the community and yes, writer circle. If you love writing, come write. Like, let's keep writing together. And our transformation school, you've got a tool you're teaching, you've got a course you're teaching. Well, duh, like let's help you teach the course, right? From the book or whatever that work is. Retreats, same idea, but especially because man, do I love giving hugs to my authors and I get to meet them for the first time and we can come together in person and do the healing work together, write together. So we've done some retreats like that. And then lastly, your business development, your networking. And you really have to be careful of getting me started on this topic because it's really the connections. And I could go on and on and on. I want you to be able to come back into a community where you can get to know people that have your business building back and continue to. Who knows? You could meet one person and it completely change your life or your business. You might need a connection. You might not know what you need. You just need to meet people and see how, where that goes. So we offer networking opportunities in a really safe place where if you've hated networking up until now, guess what? You're about to love it and it's going to change your life. That's the kind of networking I want to teach.
Well, and in traditional publishing, it's, what can you do for me? Whereas for you, it's how can I be of service for you? So tell me um, a little bit about why someone would want to use Brave Healer Productions and how it helps them build this platform and the business networking and stuff like that.
So I think I've said a couple things already, but you're getting a team who understands that this is a healing journey. And we grab your hand and we'll help you through the steps of writing that story if it's your first time, in a way that you'll be proud and you'll feel brave, right? And that is, I think, the foundation of the answer to that question. We're going to offer that space for you to experience what's possible in terms of your own life in being a published author. It's pretty exciting. We're helping you step into who you were born to be. Ooh, that's a lot of responsibility over here, right? Like, and of course, I can't take responsibility for you doing that, but I can guide and put a few breadcrumbs in front of you and say, hey, we got you. Follow these breadcrumbs, and then we have you here for support, right? And then all of the ways we support that now, what after you publish that I just mentioned, that's one of the reasons why you're going to want to come into our community and play and dabble. Heart-centered badasses is who we have in this community. And we are redefining what it means to share brave words in the world. We are redefining publishing in that respect. We are a collaborative business model, which people love to say they like that idea, but then when it comes down to actually doing it, I want people to have integrity about that. Well, what are you doing then to be collaborative or inclusive, and how are you bringing people in? So that will always and forever be the way that we do this. And even with our solo books, to be honest, because that person isn't standing alone in writing their own book, they are going to need that community around them that believes in them and wants to read their advanced reader copy and wants to, buy their book on launch day, but also wants to be curious about what they're up to in the world. So I think I answered your question on that one, but tell me if you wanted something different.
Oh, no, that's great. So,
Okay.
what are some of the books that you've published? What are some of the topics that you have covered?
Oh God. Well, could you please remind me what your two were? Because, I've lost track at this point.
Stop the Silence,
Yes.
with childhood sexual abuse, and then, oh gosh,
I
talk
don't feel
about
so bad.
menopausal brain fog, and it was Laura Mazzata's book.
Thank you. Holistic mental health.
Too. Yeah.
So let's use those two as examples, for obvious reasons. And I'm going to just say thank you for being in both of those, and also for stepping up into two very intense topics, honestly. Holistic mental health, shout out to Laura Mazzata and for what she's doing in the world to redefine what that means and how people can get holistic help for their mental health issues. Such an important topic. We're partnering with nonprofits on that topic right now. We're really, I love watching as the world ditches this stereotype and starts to embrace mental health like it's health, y'all. Mind, body, spirit, soul, mental, physical, all the things. Like, forget this weird stigma about needing help for your mental health, right? So you can tell I get excited about these things. And then Stop the Silence, please. Big shout out to Dr. Pamela J. Pine, because she took on one of the most intense topics ever with grace and courage. And she brought you experts in again to help tell real stories about this and help people not feel alone, but also giving people a really incredible resource to get that help that they need with topics that range from, if you were abused all the way to if you were an adult who needs help later. Some of these things can surface later. So I mentioned grief, the grief experience. We did a book called Sacred Death. Intense topic, but really needed. We need the support. The caregiver's advocate. Debbie Compton, thank you for coming together for that topic, right? And I've got 80 plus, so I could sit here all day trying to think of who I want to shout out, but I'll shout out all of my leaders and co-authors for those topics and those books. I wouldn't be here without you, so thank you.
Well, yeah, so this podcast is in a pretty new phase, but I mean, you've touched on topics that have already come up in the midlife discussion when you talk about being a caregiver. Now, I haven't read that book, but in a previous episode, I spoke very candidly with a woman, Victoria Bruce, about how hard it is to take care of your aging parents. The childhood sexual abuse. I mean, I worked in the childhood sexual abuse exposure and prevention industry for 20 years. I'm still working in there, and no one would publish that book. No one would, because they're like, oh, no one will buy it. It's depressing. And Stop the Silence was not a depressing book. It was not a sad book. It was an uplifting book, and it touched you wherever you, not, that's probably the wrong word. It met you wherever you were. And that's what made that book so special. And so you're touching these. Now, you've done some business books too, correct?
Yes. Quickly on what you just said, they wouldn't publish that book. Right.
Yeah.
Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. Like that is it. That's right there, you guys. They wouldn't do it. Why? It's not going to sell books. It's depressed. What are you talking about? Like, we're talking about world changing things, issues and stories and tools that help people. I mean, so whoa, So yes, to answer your other question, we launched 2 new imprints, Brave Kids books and Brave Business books. So the Brave Business books line just published a book called Transformative Leadership. Shout out to Jill Austin. This book is amazing. Leaders building leaders. Like, this is, again, world-changing stuff, redefining what it means to be an authentic leader. So Brave Business Books was born out of Brave Healer Productions because there were a few of my holistic business colleagues, and I won't say they were afraid of the word healer, but that wasn't resonating as much as something different that would be a little bit more businessy. But man, we are not doing business as usual over here, even in Brave Business Books. We're going to break out of the box of business and help people understand what's possible there too. And then, of course, Brave Kids books, we have a big mission to help kids, but it's also the parents, the grandparents, the mentors, the teachers who are reading those stories with their kids to talk about topics I wish someone would have talked to me about back when. Intuition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're up to a few things over here.
Well, and the Brave Business imprint, I got that right. It's Brave Business, you said?
Brave Business Books, yes.
Brave Business Book. That's, I mean, it's an obvious next step for you, because when you look, because first of all, every one of your collaborative authors has a business in some way, shape, or form.
Correct.
And I think that if you handle, because business books, I think people are like, oh no, Stephen J. Covey and 7 whatever. But really, when you look at it as personal development and your ability to create a world that it's your world is your platform. I think that's a fantastic idea, and there's so much potential there, and there's so many untapped experts who have so much to give, and they're the smaller voices, and I don't mean small and insignificant. I mean, there are real lead I've worked with people who are real leaders who have no idea they're a real leader and have no idea that they have the skills and capabilities and tools to give people, but they could write a chapter to a book and be like, "Oh my God, I am a real leader. I am contributing. I am giving. I am really fostering the next generation of great leaders and, and helping myself as well."
You get me so excited as you talk about it. I just pulled the one that we launched yesterday over because I wanted to read the subtitle because it's part of what you're saying. Self mastery for the new voice of business success. This is transformative leadership. It's self mastery. It doesn't matter if we're talking about life or business or the combo. And really, I think the new voice of business success, especially for us entrepreneurs, is that our business is part of why we were born. It's part of our purpose, and we aren't separating life and business. This is who I am and who I want to be in the world. Even when I'm walking down the street, walking in the woods, taking my self-care time, like this is who I am anyway, right? That bigger piece of me is encompasses all of those things. I think for so long people are trying to pry them apart, and when it got personal is when it got good. Business is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I used to hear from coaches, oh, don't make friends out of your clients. Don't that all these things, these crazy beliefs about how that had to look for it to be right, professional, actual right business, everyone's definition. And I'm thinking, these are some of my greatest friends and comrades, these people. So I love, love, love redefining it.
Well, and I think that, we do a disservice just with the English language by using the word business because we don't have another word for it,
Right.
because you don't want to call it adulthood because it's not really adulthood. And if you call it your passion project, people are going to think, well, she's a singer or an artist or whatever. I mean, I have a ton of passion projects and they're all collecting dust. But it's like we need to find a new word to describe what that is, who you are in the world. Because who I am in the world, I mean, when someone says, Joelle, what do you do? It doesn't it it doesn't really describe me or the business that I'm in. And I realized probably when I was, 10 or 11 years ago, my dad says, "Well, Joelle, you're just a do-gooder." And I'm like, I don't think that's what I want to be. Because that implies that I am sacrificing myself or do it's just I realize that instead I when I am of service, I am fulfilled. And so I've always been that person that people, when they needed help, they came to me and I realized, so and that's not business. However, that would be a part of that transformative business. We need a new word for it. And I'm thinking out loud and going nowhere, but it's you're coining it and you're helping people really, create this amazing product and world.
Well, and of course we're much bigger than what we do. It's funny, and this is such a great discussion. I had been listening to an Audible, a book called The Ultimate Coach, and it was written by Steve Hardison's wife, Amy. She wrote the book about her husband, and in it they're talking about I am statements. They're talking about a personal internal commitment. And I loved this piece because when I started to do the journaling exercise for myself, because I've been devoted to that lifelong pursuit of who I am, you know.
Yeah.
So when I started to do it, I was like, well, I am love. I am wild enthusiasm. I am a super connector of love warriors. I am a wild, wonderful written word wizard woman. How's that for alliteration?
Yeah.
Right. And so I was just really loving writing my I am statements and what was that personal internal commitment. I was making to myself about who I was in the world, no matter what I do, no matter if I publish or do physical therapy or quit everything and sell coconuts on the beach, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so and that's where your feels and energy, frequency and vibration are coming from. So if you don't start there, everything else feels bad. Yeah.
So, this is a show about midlife, and one of the reasons and one of the main reasons I brought you in here is because all of these amazing things you're doing, you did in midlife. And I, a lot of the women I talk to are thinking, well, I'm winding down, or I'm too old, or I can't do it, or I'm not an innovator. And you did all this amazing, innovative, collaborative business building stuff in midlife. Can you talk a little bit more about that and your midlife experience and what it's been like as a woman in this business creating your own reality, or your own reality, your new great business platform?
Scary and anxiety provoking a lot of the time. And following my purpose driven fears was part of the mastery. Having the awareness to understand that thing brewing inside of me to change, to transition, to make big moves at that age. Ooh, but that was my compass, my soul language. And I learned that language. I call it a ninja move of awareness. Honestly, it's the reason I'm doing anything today. Um, I started Brave Healer Productions in 2016. I am now almost 57. Y'all can do the math. Okay. So I ended up asking for a divorce in 2016 when I realized I wasn't going to be supported in my ultimate legacy and dream. I'm like, no, this isn't the right match. I'm going to be not able as easily to have that be happening, the risks I wanted to take, the investments I wanted to make, the new things I wanted to do, even though I didn't know if they were going to be successful, right? And so when I made that huge move, opened up the door, had permission to do everything I wanted, it was both terrifying and amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not going to kid people and say it's not very hard some days and not terrible. Like it was all of that, but I learned the language. Like, oh, that's just this little feeling I'm having in my heart. And I'm starting to recognize that fear has a feeling. It's just a feeling inside of me. And my problem was what I was making it mean. My problem was that that feeling meant, oh, I'm going to be a failure. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to make it. I'm never going to make it on my own. I could go on and on. And I wrote all of those down on a notebook and I called myself out on my notebook. And I looked at it and I said, whoa, okay, do I think that? And there it was, the beginning of the awareness process that I use today. Now that this business is where it is, I don't know if you've read The Big Leap by
No, I
Gay
haven't.
Hendricks. The Big Leap is an awesome book. Y'all should read it, but it talks about your upper limit problem. There will never not be an upper limit problem. Once you reach it, you're going to come up with another challenge of all the stuff I'm talking about, mindset. And you're going to have to recognize that you're there and repeat. And that's the mastery, I think. So I think back to that time and man, I was a little crazy, but it was the best thing I ever did for myself, was to make those huge changes in midlife. Whatever age you are, you're getting that feeling, that pull. It keeps coming up no matter how much you say to yourself, oh, I'm fine. I'm content. My life is good. Why do I need to make any change? No, you got this feeling inside of you. It keeps coming back. It cycles back. That's how you know it's purpose. Purpose doesn't stop bothering you. Soul purpose is going to keep coming up to your heart and going, hello. So if you're in midlife and you're thinking about the age and, oh, it's too late, and then, get ready to have a heartache, because you're never going to stop having that from your soul. It's who you were born to be. It's it's so much bigger. And I finally just paid attention. And I'm going to tell you one more truth about that time. I started having chest pain. So I sat in my home thinking about my kiddos who were younger then, who are both adults now. But I thought, oh crap, I am going to leave them motherless. Like, what am I doing? So there was some wake up call kind of things, right? Wouldn't it be cool if we could get there before the
Yeah.
chest pain? Like, wouldn't it, right? And so I did. I mean, I got there before anything weird happened, and I started to take care of myself, my soul self. It was scary. It was worth it.
That's such a powerful story because I personally believe that we as women are can be such caretakers that we swallow that pain, and we swallow that little, gnawing in the back of our head saying, this isn't right, this isn't right. And seeing and hearing what you've done is truly inspirational. I'm not advocating for divorce, but I will say that who I was when I was 25 is very different from who I am now at 54. And if you don't grow together, you grow apart. And I'm seeing a lot of women in midlife who are truly, truly suffering because they are sacrificing their heart and their soul for a marriage that is not being good to them and good for them. And so, I mean, I'm so amazingly proud of you, what you've been able to do. And your kids are obviously doing okay, and we're happy with the whole thing. And so that's amazing.
Hard to say anyone was happy with the
Oh,
whole thing. And
okay.
right, you know how that goes. And I
Yeah.
think what's important to say also is that, you know, I'm not sure when, but there was a realization that everybody in my life has been a teacher, including all those people. And no matter who they were or what role they played, I look back at all of that and understand it was all perfect. It was all for me. And of course, we make decisions that have consequences. And it was scary because I didn't want to wreck my kids.
Yeah.
And my kids will be who they are on their own journey. But me taking responsibility for mine was the most important. I didn't want to model being miserable.
Yeah.
I didn't want to model something I thought could have been bigger love, but wasn't. I was keen on what I was modeling, and so that became more important and drove the decision. And now looking back, no regrets about that, but also just deep care that my kids have a journey that serves them well too. And they can look and say, oh, you know, my mom was pretty brave back then, right? One day they might say that.
And your one of your kids works with you, doesn't she?
Yeah. My daughter is at the University of Maryland, and she does work behind the scenes here at Brave Healer Productions. That's been really, really fun. She's working part-time, doing, you know, finishing college. She's in the business school, marketing school, and who knows what that amazing goddess is going to do in the world. And my son and I have also been on a little bit of a journey. He's going to be starting his own business, and I've been trying to coach and mentor that process from the beginning with this perspective that I now had with, which is, whoa, if I had to go back and
Yeah.
do it again, what would I do? You know, how am I going to help him avoid the mistakes I made and the different things? So that's been really interesting and fun.
Well, and you're in an industry that didn't exist 15, 20 years ago. I
Mhm.
mean, you have trailblazed this. And as you look at, what your daughter's probably learning in business school and what she's learning from you, they're probably of very equal value. Because you're in the trenches creating new business ideas, and what she's learning in business school will be the foundations that will help her to continue what you're doing. So that's fabulous.
It's fun.
What are you working on right now?
Oh my gosh. So many things, so many amazing things. So let's see, we're chatting kind of October-ish. Gosh, it's October already, right? We have 7 more books coming in 2024, and 2 of them are fantastic, powerful expert collaborations. How to Be Brave, Self-Healing Tools for Love Warriors is coming. Shout out to my co-authors. You're amazing. Thank you for the stories, for the tools. This book is going to be life-changing for people, and it breaks a mold of even our books to a next level brave, right? How to be brave. How to be brave is different for every single person. And this book is a really great way to talk about how it's different for people. And then the other one, who does 2 in 1 month? I don't know. Me, I'm crazy. But the Complete Small Business Growth Guidebook is going to come out from Brave Business Books. And this was because I looked back and I thought, whoa, now if I had a team of experts in a book that could give me the real stories and help me understand that practical move to make now in the beginning of my business, whoa, what a gift that would be. Right. And so the Complete Small Business Growth Guidebook, Brave Strategies for Authentic Success, are my best business colleagues who are all going to teach you something pretty amazing in their chapters. So those are the 2 biggies coming up.
That is great. So, what are you looking for in some, so a listener here is like, I have a book idea. What are you looking for?
So there are 2 kinds of, there's a few different kinds of people in my world that come in for publishing. First of all, I am here to answer your questions. You need a little chat. You want to tell me about your book idea. You just need me to point you in a direction to help you. I'm here for you. Okay. I love to chat with people about their books. I'm looking for holistic health, wellness, and business professionals who want to create these expert collaborations. Maybe you are the leader of a community and there's a topic that's important to you, right? In your instance, midlife transition. What the heck are we doing in midlife and how can we get through it and survive, right? I'm in the middle of lots of things with that. I love that topic. But you want to be known for that. You want to put it out there in the world, but you also don't want to do it yourself. You want to bring a team around you to speak on the topic. So come and chat with me. We're going to be looking to 2025 for some of these kinds of powerful collaborations. Maybe there's a business topic, same deal. Like you do this in business and you want to rally the troops around you and put that out. We're doing a few solo authored books. So come to me with your topic, holistic alternative health, any of those kinds of topics. I'm going to help you out.
I don't mean to interrupt, but explain
Yeah.
to me when you say holistic. What do you mean by that?
I put that in front of physical therapists a long time ago because when I had that career, I wanted people to understand that I was going to be looking at someone body, mind, soul, spirit, not just physical therapy, not just physical. So, of course, you guys know this, right? Mind, body, everything is mind, body. You cannot separate. We've got enough science to know now that the integration is the important piece, and understanding that this amazing, crazy, sacred vessel we walk around in has all those different kinds of components: energetic, mental, emotional. Oh my gosh, so many things it's hard to keep track of, right? So when I put holistic in front of, I was a holistic physical therapist because I wanted to know how your life had been going, not just about your what's up with your back pain. Like, how's it going? Have you had any major things going on? What's the stress level like? What's the mental emotional component of why you're here today? Talk to me about your life so that we can give you a more holistic plan to get back to yourself and peak performing and doing all of the things that you want to do. So the picture was way more holistic than traditional training, right? And I got that very early on in my training, that idea, that important idea. I was so lucky with mentors that I had. So I brought that into publishing for maybe obvious reasons. Like, and we're not talking about only one thing, we're talking about that bigger holistic picture. And that is where real, effective, sustainable results for people's lives happen.
Well, and it's perfect for midlife because I've spoken to healthcare professionals and everyone else, and it's like women, especially with menopausal symptoms, were treated symptom by symptom by symptom. And instead, had someone just said, well, gee, where are you at? What are your cycles like? Let's talk about your whole body and not just the fact that your shoulder doesn't work anymore. And we can see that you need to be treated in a holistic way. So it's a perfect synergy with the midlife menopausal journey.
Yes, please, let's talk about your nutrition. Let's talk about changes in your energy levels that have happened. Yes, I'm maybe I'll shove some hormones and pills in your face, but gosh, could we please talk about all of the things happening? So maybe it's not just about changing chemical hormone levels, right? Maybe it's your food. Hello,
Oh yeah.
maybe it's the fact that you stopped moving, like in and people stuff happens in life, so we do have changes, and sometimes we don't even remember what happened and how that could have shifted, especially in midlife with perimenopause, menopause stuff. Gosh, and I'll raise my hand for this because I'm going through lots of those different kinds of things. You tell a doctor you've got hot flashes, and then they want to do one thing for the hot flashes, but they don't have the bigger conversation that could help the hot flashes.
Exactly.
And yeah, we're missing a piece of the pie there.
It's interesting when you're talking about with the holistic, when one of the big things I get from people is like, oh, I don't need hormones because I don't have hot flashes. But then they go get a DEXA scan and realize they don't have any more calcium in their bones. So it really is so important to address the whole person in this and to take that holistic collaborative feeling about it. Because I think that when people hear the word holistic, they tend to think kind of, ooh, wishy wishy. But no, it's not. We're really talking about integrating every aspect of a person's health using evidence-based science as well as the latest knowledge that we're picking up and our collaborative intuition as women and professionals and human beings and the men who do your books as well. So that's fabulous.
It's really good to also understand that what people think is woo also has science and merit. And how about you just be curious? Just curious.
Yeah.
Because if there was something you could learn today that would change everything, wouldn't you be interested? Wouldn't you be curious? Right. So it is also my job to bring ideas into the world that you're going to have to be curious about. Right. And so if you're judging right away, check yourself. That's a ninja move. You got to pause, like, oh, look at me. Like immediately brushing that aside as woo. Well, what if it was life changing? What if it changed everything for you? Right? Wouldn't you be curious? So, yes, alternative and holistic can also mean a much bigger picture of things that we can't see or are hard to explain or whatever. But that's pretty badass when you begin to feel positive results from something that you can't see or explain.
Well, and it goes to the power of intuition that we have suppressed for so long, and
Right.
that I think in a lot of ways we even beat out of our kids, just go by the book, and oh, but this makes me feel weird. It's okay, just do it anyway. And in my sex abuse prevention work, I was always like, you got to trust your gut. You got to go with that. And then I realized intuition was something that I had suppressed my entire life, and there were all these things that I'm like, I really need to think about this and go with this and be curious. And I think that when we lose our curiosity, we lose a huge part of our soul.
I mean, if you help build and maintain your child's intuition power, you have given them the ultimate gift of their lifetime. If you can step aside and allow them to feel what they feel, express what they feel, and you help by believing that they're expressing what they feel and that it matters. Gift of a lifetime. And it takes a conscious parent, a parent who is also walking that walk, to be able to do that for their child. That is brave also, because you're going outside of the norm of good parenting by allowing, let's say, your kid to talk back. Ooh, right? You're allowing them to be angry. Good for you. Like, can we shut our mouths and be present enough to tolerate our kid being mad about something? I hope so, because I wished someone would have allowed that to happen for me. Right? There's just, this is such a topic. We could be here all day on this one alone.
Well, you'll just have to come back.
Oh no, my gosh.
Well, on that note, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Oh my gosh. You are enough in exactly the way that you are. The love you give to yourself first is the most important. I didn't do it. I did not love myself back then. I didn't even know that I needed to try to do that. I tried to get it from everyone else but me. So we know how that goes. It doesn't go.
Yeah.
So that's where I would help her start. What does that even mean to you, young woman, to love yourself? And I would just let her sit with that for a moment, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining me on Next Chapter Women. Um, Listeners, you can learn more about Laura DeFranco and Brave Healer Productions, including how to become a collaborative author or anthology editor at bravehealer.com. You can also reach out to her directly for a chat about your business or your book idea or chapter idea. As you can see here, she's amazing to talk to and super open and super willing and able to help you get your voice out to the world. And you can see links to everything we've discussed in the show notes for this episode. So again, Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, Joelle, that was really amazing. Thank you for helping me share myself and just my purpose today. It felt so great to be with you. You're an incredible interviewer. Thank you for this space that you're giving us.
Oh, thank you. All right. Laura, we'll have you back again real soon. And Next Chapter Women, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for listening to Next Chapter Women, the New Midlife with me, Joelle Castex. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and everywhere you listen to your favorite content. Also, tell your friends about the show and our guests, because remember, the more we talk about menopause, the better midlife is for everyone, even dudes. You can find contact information and important links in the show notes. Stay tuned, and I'll talk to you next time.